Call Michael Copeland.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I too would pay tribute to the members who brought forward this motion and to acknowledge the magnanimous treatment of it by Mr Maskey. The service of Irish men and women in the British Army, Navy and more latterly Air Force is a matter of recorded history that goes back for centuries. And those who decided to leave, if that is the appropriate word, the Irish Army in 1939 and to serve in the British Army in the fight against fascism were in many cases following in their father's footsteps, many of whom would have been among the 350,000 Irishmen who joined the British Army in the absence of conscription during what was called the Great War, 50-odd thousand of them never returning home. The colours of those regiments, the Munster Fusiliers, the Leinster Fusiliers, the Royal Dublin Fusiliers, endless titles stretching back for centuries, were ceremonially hung up in cathedrals in England, and with them that history. And yet these men who joined the 38th Brigade, specially created by Winston Churchill, its badge a black shamrock, and it has recently come back into existence, and the service of the Royal Irish Regiment in particular now takes place within the context of the 38th Brigade. At the same time, just a few years ago, the last surviving unit from the Somme, the 107th Infantry Brigade, the last attachment of the British Army with the 36th Ulster Division, quietly slipped into history. It's true to say that in all nations there are things in their history about which they are ashamed or would maybe do differently a second time round. And generally, the older the nation and the greater the nation, the more significant those stains will be. But the treatment of these men, who at the conclusion of what the Irish government referred to as the emergency, started to return home. They set aside the implements of war and the uniforms of war, and like others turned their face towards the sun and set about rebuilding the earth. And when they got home, they found little comfort. But this matter remains unresolved, highlights and drives chisels in the relationships that are now starting to form within this chamber, and it will signify a serious lesson for all of us left unaddressed. To conspire against those who did what they believed to be right, and to evidence in legislation a weight against them, is a serious, serious matter. There are lessons for us in this chamber and in this society regarding the way in which the army during the Second World War conducted itself. I would add a case in point, a unit in which many of these individuals served, the Royal Irish Fusiliers, which was recruited in, if you forgive the terminology, the south of the north and the north of the south. It was about 60% nationalist and 40% unionist, and it laboured successfully under the ministrations of their regimental padre, a Jesuit priest called Father Dan. And Father Dan, when the battalion had played its role in the liberation of Rome, with an enthusiasm you can probably imagine, decided that this battalion of Irish soldiers would visit the Vatican. And this did not go unremarked. However, regardless of your political opinion or religious background, you were required to attend. And an Englishman called Colin Gummer, who was a captain at that stage, I believe, recorded in his diary how that was handled. He noted the battalion was assembled in a room in the Vatican. He said he remembered the striking presence of the small man as he entered the room, the Pope. He remarked on his dancing eyes as he said how wonderful again it was to see the sons of St. Patrick in the Holy City, while stern-faced Ulstermen, mumbling the Boyne water, milled about the back of the room. Within that, there is surely a lesson for all of us. I firmly believe that this issue needs addressed. It is a matter for the authorities in the now Republic of Ireland, at that time the Irish Free State, to redress this, what I consider to be very great wrong. And I commend the motion in its current form to this House, and I thank those that have contributed so far for the magnanimous way in which they have contributed. I thank you.